Good afternoon. See, this is basically the interim budget. General budget, earlier we used to have railway budget, but we don't have railway budget now. It is merged with general budget. Secondly, this is the general budget. So, and this is not a regular budget. Not a regular budget means what? Every year the government presents the regular budget, but this year as the government is going for the elections, then there is a lot of chances for them to present the interim budget. Interim budget is presented by the government, which is outgoing government. They'll present the budget and they will go away. They'll go for the elections. They'll come back. If they want to make any changes, they will make them. All right. So in this, the first thing which you have to remember, so Ministry of Finance, that is the budget division. This was asked for. This was asked in prelims. Which is that division or which is the department? So, Department of Economic Affairs. Department of Economic Affairs, Budget Division under the Ministry of Finance is responsible to prepare and present the budget. 1st April to 31st March. So, what we get to see in the budget, what are the parameters which are involved in the budget, etc. This year budget talks about Viksit Bharat by 2047. Means Bharat which has everything, Bharat which satisfies self-sufficiency, that is satisfying the demand of the people of the country, plus Bharat which is satisfying the global demand. That is one clear example what we have done in the previous, during the COVID. Production of the vaccine not only satisfying the Indian demand but also the global demand. We made a great exports to other countries, large scale exports to the other countries. What is the vision? Vision is prosperous Bharat in harmony with nature, modern infrastructure and opportunities for all. Opportunities for all, for everyone. And what is the development mantra which has been given? Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. That means we are in the progress of making inclusive development, inclusive growth, etc. In such cases, it has been understandable that government want to bring lot of vikas in the country, which means for everyone we will try to ensure that the production and the consumption can satisfy the basic demand. Next, that is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that is the comprehensive development of all. And Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Viswas. Viswas is a trust, which means trinity of democracy and diversity backed by Sabka Prayas. Sabka Prayas means participation is there, okay, and efforts are there, so that you can get benefits. Basically, it talks about, earlier we used to have an agenda of 2030. Now this agenda has been moved to 2047. Not much things are there. These are like quite many of the budgets spoke about all these things. And here it comes a very important term which is called as where the government is spending, where the government will receive the money. See, every budget, government will show the 100 paisa platform, where in the 100 paisa, where is the government spending, okay, which are nothing but its expenditures, where are the government is getting in, that is its income, that is its returns. Income means what? From where government is earning. Expenditures is more where the government is trying to spend the money. Now look at the case, where does the rupee comes from? The most important parameter where the government is actually earning. Look at the contribution of the GST. That means, look at the contribution of the GST components, that is 18%. 18% is the component of the GST. GST is one very important source next to the income tax. That means like previously when we considered the same chart, it was the GST which was at 17 paisa. Now this GST has increased to 18 paisa. And income tax and the corporate taxes both were similar at 15 paisa. Now you look at, because the market has opened now, the contribution towards the income tax and the corporate tax is quite higher, because we just moved out of the slowdown, the pandemic, etc. But now as we have grown, as the market is fully opened, then you see the GST and the other taxes as 18%, but income tax, corporate tax quite individually contributes a lot from the direct taxes. So what is this tax? It's an income to the government. From where government is earning? Government earns maximum from the income tax in terms of taxes. Second one is the GST. Okay. Next one is the corporate tax. He will ask you in the exam, arrange them in order, whether you're going for UPSC or from the any of the state services. He will ask you arrange them in order, because last year the order was very different. Now this year the order is again very much different. You need not worry about this slides. Extra points what I am saying you can write. What is there in the slide I will share in the channel. You can take that printout, that could be better. You need not read entire document. Document is of 150, 60, 70, 80 pages, etc. That will take a lot of time for you. So what you do is just go through, and if you have any extra point, if I am delivering extra point, keep writing those points, and I will share all the slides too. So now borrowings and other liabilities, non-tax receipts, non-debt capital receipts, and customs. See, borrowing and other liabilities. Borrowing and other liability means government is going for borrowings. That means it is the debt component. Debt component from where the government borrows. So we studied in the monetary policies. The government borrows from the banks, internal sources. Government release the government securities. People will buy. That is, the private will buy, consumers will buy, the banks will buy, or it can borrow from any of the institutions. So this is basically the debt component. Second case, after this debt component, non-debt component. Non-debt component is again 1%. Debt component is 28. On this debt component, I have to pay what? Interest. So look at here, interest payments, interest which is being made. Earlier this interest payment was less than 20%. Now this interest payment has increased because your borrowings are also slowly increasing, and the interest payments anyways it will increase. Now borrowings are 28%, which are called as debt, loans. Non-borrowings, that means you are not borrowing anything, but you are selling up your assets. You are selling away your assets. What could be the assets of the government? Government shares, government bonds, or I am going for disinvestments, selling off the shares of any of the government institutions. People will buy. So I am selling off my shares. So I am selling off my share that when people will buy this. So this is not borrowing. If you have any land, when you sell it away this land, this is not borrowing. Same land, you'll put it with the bank and borrow the money. This is loan. So the piece of land which you have put into banks and you have borrowed the money is 28%. The same piece of land you sold directly to the people is here 1%. So government is getting up or returns which is 28% from borrowings, and government is selling away its assets which is 1%, which is not the borrowings. This is what he will express most of this in terms of questions in the exam. So two types of again the income which government is getting out of this. One is the taxable income, other one is the non-taxable income. Obviously taxable income is very high. You look at non-taxable income. Non-taxable income means other than the taxes. Non-taxable income means there is a component which is other than the taxes. Other than the taxes, but still government is earning. What are these? Challans, fines, okay, any sort of profits. Means here we are talking about how is the government earning. Government earns based on taxes as well as the non-taxes. Both the things is the income of the government. But one income is from the taxes, other income is from the non-taxes. When it is the taxes, it is purely tax component. Direct tax, indirect tax. When it is non-taxes, it is not at all the taxes, but still it is an income to the government. For example, recently they have put some benefits for the people to clear their challans, 70%, etc. This is not tax. This is a challans which you have to pay. So the challans which you pay is not the taxable amount. The income which is in terms of non-taxes which reaches to the government. College fees, government institutions fees, Okay, so such kind of fees, what you pay, penalties you pay, challans you clear, court fees, etc., school fees, etc., institutional fees, etc., which are government, everything comes into non-taxable. So both the things are the income to the government, but understand taxable is very high, which cannot be compared to non-taxable. Second, borrowing is very high when compared to the income from non-debts. So this is a very important component, and you have to arrange them in the order considering these three important things. So it's very simple, like income tax, all right, GST, next it is corporation tax, next excise, next it is customs. So arrange them in order from ascending to descending. When we take taxes as a chapter after agriculture, we will discuss every component putting this slide again. So you need not worry. Next, where rupee goes to. Where rupee goes to means what? Where the government is actually spending the money. So where does the government spend? It's an expenditures for the government. So what are the expenditures of the government? That is, I'm going for the huge borrowing. When I go for huge borrowing, obviously I have to make interest payments. I have to pay to you, I have to pay to the private institutions, I have to pay to the banks from where I have borrowed. So that is actually 20%. Next, what are my expenditures? My expenditures are the pensions. My expenditures are the pensions. Next, very importantly, my expenditures are defense. My expenditures are subsidies. Now, what are these subsidies? Subsidies which you are spending, which is of 6 paisa. What is this subsidies? Subsidies are something like a benefit which is given by the government to the needy. These are called as subsidies. Subsidies which you are actually giving this 6 paisa. So these subsidies is divided into different components. Component number 1, food subsidy. Component number 2, fuel subsidy. Food subsidy, fuel subsidy, subsidy given on agriculture, that is to farmers. So basically arrange them in order again. 6 paisa which is on subsidies. So maximum subsidy, it is PDS. On the PDS itself, you give at a very lower prices. So PDS actually will be in this 6 paisa, PDS will be the highest. Second will be subsidies given to the agriculture sector, and the fuel which occupies the third one. Fuel which is occupying the Pradhana Mantri Ujjwala Yojana or something, any other benefits which are giving subsidized cylinders, etc. Then it comes into the third component. So subsidies, within subsidies also he can ask the questions. Next, pensions is quite easy, defense is quite easy, subsidies we have explained you. Now there are two important programs here. One is central sector schemes, central sponsor schemes. There are two important programs. Central sector means what? Central sector is those programs which totally the sponsor is being made by central government. So it means expenditures are 100% made by central government. Total expenditures are basically 100% made by the central government only. Next, central sponsor schemes are those schemes which in collaborations. In collaborations means what? The state governments and central government put together will come forward and they will make the expenditures. So these are called as central sponsor expenditures. Next, finance commission. Now they have formed 16th finance commission. Earlier we have 15th finance commission. So this finance commission will recommend from the central taxes what is the percentage that has to be given to the state governments. This is being recommended by the finance commissions. Next, states share of taxes and duties. This is also been recommended by the finance commissions. How much taxes? See, central government is collecting the income tax, corporate tax, etc. So how much central government has to be given, has to give the share to the respective states, that will be decided by the 15th or 16th finance commission. But what is the finance? Something like the grants, something like rewards, okay, something like an incentives which needs to be given. So these are the things which have been recommended by the finance commission, and this is compulsory, which is a state share, that means has been recommended by the finance commissions. So finance commission recommends compulsory the share of the taxes, okay, from the central pool to the states. Second one, finance commission other than taxes will also recommend the grants. how much grants you have to, how much rewards, how much incentives you have to give it to the respective states, local bodies, etc. That comes into the finance transfers. So other expenditures, you can take anything expenditures with the central government is dividing. You have to read this chart. This chart is very, very important, and this chart you should continuously revise, because not revising those numbers. It is the terminologies and the meaning of the terminologies you have to understand. The way we have, we went to subcomponents of the subsidies, etc. Such kind of things you have to understand. Next, people-centric inclusive development. What is the meaning of people-centric inclusive development? People-centric means what all we are bringing some reforms. Okay, considering people as our largest and biggest motive, how we promote, how we contribute, what is inclusive development in women empowerment, etc. So sustainable development of all forms of infrastructure, that is physical, digital and social. So anyways, we want to develop the physical infrastructure. We are coming up with so many programs, schemes. We are coming up so many projects, like green projects, like brown projects. With green projects you are starting from scratch by the government. Brown project, where the green project will be converted into brown and this will be handed over to the private. Such things also government has come up with the new schemes. Next, digital public infrastructure, promoted formalization and financial inclusion. Digital public infrastructure, so that this public infrastructure can promote financial inclusions. What is the financial inclusion? That every household should have at least one bank account. Every household, the member of the household should have at least one bank account. This is called as a financial inclusion or financial awareness. Every household should have an awareness of banks, bank accounts, transactions, basic transactions, etc. That means what? Definitely government is targeting this set of people so that they can actually benefit with the DBTs. Direct benefit transfers. Deepening and widening of tax base via GST, that we will discuss. Gift IFSC, International Financial Centers, that is IFSC. Gift City, Gujarat infrastructure. Gujarat financial technology companies, financial technology institutions, a robust gateway for global capital and financial services for the economy. See, what is Gift City? Gift City is in Gujarat. What is this city talks about? See, few of the companies which come to India, in that cases, the time zones will be different. So they will work as per any of the time zone, not following exactly the Indian time zone. Second case, few of the companies which are associated in India has to make transaction in rupee. So it makes difficult for so many companies to come here, make interaction, make the dollar to convert into rupee, then perform your task here. So Gift City will give many variations that any country or which is any company which is coming out from any of the country, they will try to make association in India in their own parent currency. They need not convert now. Convert dollar or convert euro into rupee, they need not do all this transaction. Then they can directly come on, they can start a setup, they can follow their own time zones. We will try to give you employment, we will try to give you the skilled labor, we will give you a lot of infrastructure, etc. So everything is ready, you can come and make investments and you can produce it. Like such Gift City, we have so many like Gift Cities. Gift City we are actually calling that because it is in Gujarat. IFSC centers like International Financial Technology Centers, we have in Abu Dhabi, we have in Singapore, we have in USA, okay, San Francisco, New York, etc. So here we have such kind of institutions. So we are targeting such institutions to be also promoted in India. So it is long back it has started, but again it has been news because of its development aspects. Now, proactive inflation management. You all know inflation, that is we have flexible inflation targeting, which is called as FIT, where 4 plus or minus 2% needs to be targeted as per Urjit Patel committee. Next, all parts of country becoming active participants in the economic growth. That is definitely true. That means all states have an active participation, or state GDP started growing. That is what he wants to convey. India and the world dollar GDP growth. You see, Now the India's rupee with respect to dollar is quite increasing. Earlier, if you see, our reserves were quite less than 600 billion dollars, but now it has become greater than 600. In exact number, it is 618 billion dollars. So it is actually increasing. Earlier we could see it was 540, 560, etc. Now it has gone to greater than 600. We already discussed what that comes under 600. It is foreign currency, we gold, and also reserves with the IMF. Now Garib Kalyan, Desh Ka Kalyan. So what is this Krishi Kalyan? Promotion, benefits, okay, or targeting the poverty, targeting malnutrition, targeting IMR, MMR, targeting the people under the BPL category. This is what is called as Garib Kalyan, Desh Ka Kalyan. That means we want to promote the welfare schemes benefiting the large scale. So now decline in headcount. While discussing NCRTs, we have discussed what is called as headcount. The number of people lying below the poverty line is called as an headcount ratio. Now you can see the headcount ratio. Headcount ratio means what? Number of people coming down. So look at the number of people coming down. That percentage itself is slowly coming down, that is reduced. Multidimensionally poor. Multidimensionally poor means we consider so many aspects multidimensionally, not only of that expenditures, but some sort of expenditures for consumption, social expenditures like education, health, okay, basic living, etc. Everything will be considered in this aspect. Now, direct benefit transfer has led to savings of 2.5 lakh crores, which means what? There is no middleman. Pradhan Mantri, this was under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. This is a scheme which was a government introduced in order to increase the financial inclusion in the country, where every household can have one account, bank account, where the transfers can be made directly. There is no role of intermediaries, etc. Okay? Next, 25 crore people moved out of multi-dimensional. This is a very important point. 25 crore people have been moved out of multidimensional poverty. Credit assistance of 78 lakh. PM Swanidhi. PM Swanidhi is for what purpose? Promotion, protecting the interest of the street vendors. Next, empowering the youth. That means increase in PM Shri. What is PM Shri? PM Shri is for what purpose? Increase in PM Shri. We'll come back. 1.4 crore youth trained under the Skill India mission. Skill India mission is for what purpose? Skill India mission is for those set of people who can actually be trained under certain institutions so that they can get some skilled jobs. Fostering entrepreneurial aspirations of the youth. 43 crore loans sanctioned under PM Mudra Yojana. PM Mudra Yojana. It comes under the non-bank institutions, non-bank financial companies, where you have Mudra. From Mudra, the banks will take from banks it goes to the consumers. Mudra has the 3 accounts. So it talks about Sishu, it talks about Kishore, and it talks about Tarun. Where again in this budget also, Shishu loans will be the much loan. That means Shishu loans are those loans, the loans which are taken up to 50,000. Kishore like 50,000 to 5 lakhs. Tarun are somewhere 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Now next, these are the institutions we are coming up so that to promote these institutions one by one. Next, welfare of farmers, Annadata. Okay. So what is that? Welfare-ness, etc. Promotions. You look at the production metric ton, 38 lakh metric tons and 262 lakh metric tons. This is again post COVID, if you could see. Direct financial assistance to 11.8 crore farmers under PM Kisan. PM Kisan, that means the benefits will be given so that the marginal, okay, the medium to the large, based on some criteria, PM Kisan, the government is debiting some pre-harvest amount before going for the harvesting, etc. to the particular agriculture season. They will try to give Kharif, Rabi, etc. So crop insurance, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, that is means it is basically on the insurance scheme, insurance program, etc. Next, integration of mandis. We have discussed all this mandis. Mandis we have discussed, which are nothing but the yards. mandis, which are nothing but the yards, where we have to integrate the mandi within the regulation of state government that comes now under ENAM, National Agriculture Market. So National Agriculture Market is an unified portal, okay, that will cover the entire country, where this mandis will start, which are under the regulations of APMCs. Okay, so that will come under the ENAM. That means now it becomes very easy for the government to have interactions. Next, the people, that farmers and the private can have interaction, that ENAM will give a greater visibility. Next, Nari Shakti. Like we are talking about the woman in the budget, etc. This is actually the part of gender budgeting. This is actually part of the gender budgeting. We don't present the separate gender budget, rather we post. We don't present a separate gender budget, rather we post within the general budget, there is a gender budget. 30 crore Mudra Yojana loans, 30 crore Mudra. Again, Mudra comes into picture. 30 crores means what? Self-employment, or people who wants to go for MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises, etc. Those set of people will be getting these loans. Increased female enrollment in higher education by 28%. So because government is targeting from last 10 years what it has done, that means female enrollments like education enrollments, etc., higher education enrollments, etc., that has increased. Now STEM courses. What is STEM courses? Science, technology, engineering, medicine, mathematics, such kind of courses has been enrolled. Now the STEM has become STEM, SDEMM. 1 crore women assisted by 833 lakh self-help groups to become Lakpati Didis. So that means what? They are targeting 1 crore women, which are basically assisted by self-help groups. What are self-help groups? The groups which actually come forward, okay, have a common agenda, make a group, try to apply the bank loans at the lower rate of interest and start getting progress. Now, rise in female labor participation. This is very important. If you can look at it, in the past 5 years, the female rate participation has gone very, very high. That has become 37%. Now, Amrit Kal. What is the strategy of Amrit Kal? Amrit Kal is a term which is being taken from the Vedic astrology. Amrit Kal is a term which has been taken from Vedic astrology. Okay, which talks about what all things which you are doing it now, now you are going to, in the future, you are going to get the fruitful results. You are going to get the fruitful results. This is called as an Amrit Kal. So India at 75. So in the Amrit Kal we targeted India at 75, okay, to India at 100. So next 25 years are there. What all we are going to write, it could be a fruitful results for us. So sustainable development. That's what, like you perform something at 75, what you are going to get in the future is, the future should not be getting compromised. So your demands are also getting satisfied. Future demands will also get satisfied. Commitment to meet net zero by 2070. Net zero means what? Carbon emissions. So that you will come down to as low as zero. So viability gap funding for wind energy. Viability gap funding means when you invite a tender of a project to any of the private, the project is of 10 crores. Okay, so whichever project, whichever contractor is making some sort of viability for the government. What becomes viability? For example, project itself is 10 crore. Now few of them says that I will make investment of 9 crore. Some says I'll make 8, other says 7 crores. With respect to the private, if I see 7 crores. With respect to the government, if I see 9 crores. Which is viable to the government? 9 crores is viable. Why? Because project is 10 crores. Private is ready to invest 9 crores. But the government expenditures point of view, it is only 1 crore. Which means what? If I go for 9 crore contractor, I can invest only 1 crore and the project can be done. If I make 7 crore, then I have to invest 3 crore. That makes more expenditures for. This is called as viable gap funding. And next, setting up of coal gasification and liquefaction capacity, phased mandatory blending of CNG, PNG and compressed by blending, mixing, that ethanol we have targeted early, ethanol being blended with the crude oil, etc., so that it can reduce the imports. Dependency on ethanol can increase, production of sugarcane can increase, income to the farmers can increase. Okay, so this we have already discussed in the agriculture chapter. Financial assistance for the procurement of biomass aggregation machinery. Rooftop solarization. Now India is part of International Solar Alliance, okay, which headquarters is at Gurgaon, and it was in collaboration with the France. So it is actually promoting the sunshine countries. The scheme actually promotes sunshine countries. So what are sunshine countries? Countries which are part of Tropic of Cancer, countries which are part of Tropic of Capricorn, and in between them, in and around of equator, these countries are called as sunshine countries. So India is part of sunshine countries, and India is one of the big initiator. India is one of the top initiator of the scheme to promote the solar. This is called as International Solar Alliance. What are we are coming up with solarization, solar, rooftop, panels, okay, all these are related to International Solar Alliances only. 1 crore household will be enabled to obtain up to 300 units of free electricity per month, that if you go for solar rooftop. Adoption of e-buses for public transport network. E-buses which can actually work on not going for the fossil fuels. Strengthening e-vehicle ecosystem by supporting manufacturing and charging. Charging stations we definitely lag. Now government is coming up everywhere the charging station so that it could be feasible for the people who use electric vehicles. New scheme of biomanufacturing and biofoundry to be launched to support environment friendly alternatives. That is true. Percentage in non-fossil fuel installed electric capacity. Installed electric capacity, that is usage of non-fossil fuel. So how it is been increasing now? That means earlier it's 2004 to 2014 to obviously when the world is growing, this percentage will also increase. So November 2023, if you could see, it is 43.9%. So these terms he will make use of this term, and he'll make use of this term to frame statement wise. Consider the following statement with respect to the non-fossil fuel usage, installed electric capacity. It has been continuously increasing. It has been increasing. Okay, and this he will give one general statement. This actually will reduce our the imports on other countries with respect to crude oil. Okay, he'll talk about import cover, he'll talk about reserves, etc. Greater than 10 crore LPG connections under Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. So Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, one second. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, that means providing subsidized LPG gas cylinders. Next, LED under this Ujala. One is Ujjwala Yojana is there. Other one it is Ujala scheme. 1.3 crore LED street light lamps installed under this scheme, where it has gone. So next, strategy for Amrit Kal 2 of 5. That is structure and investments. Implementation of 3 major railway corridor programs. PM Gati Shakti. PM Gati Shakti means what? Integration of PM Gati Shakti. Integration of the rear. This we took. Okay. Integration of all the departments which can actually promote. That means earlier there was a lot of slowdown in the process of the file movement, etc. Because one department, environment department, other department could be a tribal department, one department could be the finance department. So in the PM Gati Shakti, what they have brought it, they have got all the departments together so that the processing can be, filing can be made easily. So under PM Gati Shakti means railway corridor programs. That could be the environmental areas will be there. Okay, and social empowerment could be there. Okay, Ministry of this railways can come into picture, transport can come into picture. So all these institutions will come forward and make togetherness so that the departments, every department, railway department will come forward and they will try to make sure that the bill can be passed as early as possible. Promotion of foreign investments via bilateral investments treaties to be negotiated. So why do you have to promote the foreign investment? So that the things can become little bit speeder. Expansion of existing airports under Udan project. Udan project means Ude Desh ka Aam Nagrik. Ude Desh ka Aam Nagrik is from the basic affordable prices people can travel via the air. Okay, so when compared to earlier, no, prices have coming down. That is what is the meaning of Udan scheme. उड़े देश का आम नागरिक. Promotion of urban transformation via metro rail and Namo Bharat. The trains etc. they are coming up, Vande Bharat etc. ठीक है. So in terms of physical infrastructure, okay, so now you look at the first very important component that you should remember this part, doubling of FDI inflow. FDI means what? Kia Motors is one example of FDI. We have been repeating it in the class. Foreign direct investments, where investors come from other country, make investments in India. Now you look at, we'll take this in the consideration of billions. So it is 298 billions. It was in 2005 to 14. Now from 14 to 23, they're taking 10 years gap. It is 596. So we can say it has doubled. It has doubled. So he'll say that FDI has 1.5 times or 2 times etc. he will ask you. So increase in capital expenditure. Capital expenditures means what? An expenditure which is actually made to create an asset. So anything which government is making an asset, which is the meaning of the capital expenditures. Improvement in physical infrastructure. So this again, improvement in the physical infrastructure. Now look at the number of airports, that aircraft movement, electrified railroad. So this is actually with respect to the infrastructure only. Now inclusive development. Inclusive development means what? A development which will talk about inclusiveness. All the sections of the society will get the results of the growth. So aspirational districts. What is the meaning of aspirational district? Where the scope is very high. The districts have large scale connectivity. Districts are promising in nature. Development is very high. We have a good labor. So participation ratio could be more. These are called as an aspirational district. To assist states in faster development, including the employment generation. That will substitute it. Inclusive development in aspirational district means percentage of women registered, number of enrollments under Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bhima Yojana, which is for what purpose? Which is basically an insurance program, sir. Okay. So encourage cervical cancer vaccination for girls, Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2. That this is for what purpose? Nutritional delivery system, so that some supplement, nutrient, at the right age can be given. UWIN platform. UWIN you must be have studied earlier. We used to have the CoWIN etc. So we have a UWIN platform for immunization efforts for Mission Indradhanush to be rolled. Mission Indradhanush, you must be knowing that it is targeting the health sector, where most important diseases and its eradications are being controlled and included in this. Health cover under Ayushman Bharat scheme to be extended to all the ASHA, Anganwadi workers and the helpers basically. So why are you targeting health? Yesterday when we were studying about the NCRTs, it was mentioned that health is one of the very important parameter which can actually make the development of the country. Participation itself is directly related to the health. So health impacts are quite high, then participation definitely will be lower. Housing, that Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that means what? Close to achieving the target of 3 crore houses, additionally 2 crores targeted for next year. See, these are the things which are directly discussed in the budget. You can't take these things lightly. These targets are lightly. This is what the government is initiating and targeting for the next year, sir. Middle class scheme to be launched. So this middle class people who upper middle class, lower middle class or middle class people who actually wanted to go for the loans etc. Government will come up with some scheme so that they can actually build their houses. Okay, they can take loans. So Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, again you see the graph trend goes up. So in case of tourism is like one very lovely sector we can say, because it will have a wide ranges, like it connects to the health, it connects to the education, okay, it connects to the medical facilities, because the beauty of the country itself that it has a wide wings. So heritage centers we have, wildlife centers we have, national parks we have, biospheres we have. So all this will be linked to tourism. Once you're targeting tourism, that means you're targeting the restaurants, you're targeting the transport, you're targeting the guide, you're generating employment. So everything will be with respect to tourism. So there is tourism acts as one of the backbone in the future, because the country location is like that, country's diversity is like that. So state will be encouraged to undertake development of the iconic tourist centers to attract business and promote opportunities for the local entrepreneurs. Long-term interest-free loans to be provided to the state to increase the development. Increase development involves transportation, connectivity, okay, make sure that the tourism can be improved, increased, etc. in the country. Now you must be knowing G20 is basically the economic related set of group which will talk how the countries can make an initiative to promote the economy. G20 meetings in the 60 places presented diversity of India to the global audience. Projects for the port connectivity, tourism, and amenities will be taken up islands including Lakshadweep. You must be knowing the issues which is happening between the Maldives, etc. Lakshadweep. So people started now promoting Lakshadweep. People started promoting Andaman Nicobar Islands because these are our own islands. So it's our responsibility of the states as well as the central to promote our own existing features. So agriculture and food processing. Government will promote the private and public investments in the post-harvest activity. Post-harvest means what? It is basically the storage. Okay, it is basically the transport, the way government has come up with the Kisan rails, etc. So storages, transport, connectivity, all these are quite important in this sector. Application of nano DAP to be expanded in all agriculture zones. Atmanirbhar oil seeds Abhiyan strategy to be formulated to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat for oil seeds. So we already have one mission. National Mission for Oil Seeds, National Mission for Pulses. Now, wherever we have the strategy, we are trying to bring this into Atmanirbhar. Earlier, we have discussed in the class also with respect to the jute. Jute also has been included into Atmanirbhar Bharat program. So, what happens? Atmanirbhar Bharat program is inclusive of this jute component. That means promotion, production, benefits, okay, assured income. All these kind of things will be interlinked. Comprehensive program for dairy development. Dairy development which actually related to what? Cooperative farming. Cooperative farming. Because the farmers, group of farmers come forward, pool money, make investments. In general, they do farming or in general, they go for agriculture or allied activities. This is actually for fisheries. Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. Okay. For fisheries sector also face some sort of issue. They don't get proper fodder. Okay, they don't get proper oil, liquid or diesel so that to run their mechanized boats, etc. Because it's again is a seasonal only. Because in the few of the season, the weather condition is not good, which will not allow them to go like somewhere far into the region to fish. So in such cases, their livelihood is impacted. In such case, the government will promise them to promote them, to give them subsidies, to give them some benefits, etc. So, Blue Revolution. What is the meaning of Blue Revolution? Revolution which is targeting the changes with respect to the water bodies, etc. Promotion of water bodies, aquaculture, ecosystem, etc. PM formalization of micro food processing enterprises. So, food processing is one important factor. Because Niti Aayog has estimated that large scale food is being wasted in the country. It's a duly responsibility to promote the food processing so that the food which is about to get rotten or the food which has a lower shell life can be diverted again easily to the food processing centers. Next, resilient performance of the Indian economy. Now, declining current account deficit. What is current account deficit? A deficit which you are facing when you are making a transaction with the other country. When you are making a transaction with the other country, okay, the country's transactions can be carried forward in a component which is called as balance of payment. Can be carried into the term which is called as the balance of payment. Balance of payment has two accounts. One is the current account, other one is the capital account. So current account has some sort of daily transactions which is something called as balance of trade. Balance of trade has something with respect to visible, that is goods. Next comes balance of invisibles, that is with respect to services. Okay, we have remittances, etc. So this is the most important account for the economy, for the country. So if there is any deficit in this account, it is called as current account deficit. So he's talking about current account deficit. So there is a deficit in this in the earlier case, but this deficit is slowly declining. The deficit here, it is started to fall and declining gross. What is NPS? non-performing assets as the gross advances. So that's a good thing because the performance of the bank is quite increasing. Now this is very important. This is the most expected from this graph, that is rise in average monthly gross GST collections, which means that the GST gross collections in this phase it was quite low, okay, but when compared to other taxes it was good only, but later it started increasing. It was only because of the opening of the market, participation of people in clearing the GSTs, getting incentives, getting credits, which if you're getting credits obviously you'll participate. If you're participating, government gets returns. Or we have some more indirect taxes related schemes like Vivad Se, Viswas Tak, such kind of schemes we have which can actually promote the people to clear these taxes, which can actually increase the income for the government. Now headline inflation. What is headline inflation? An inflation which is talking about all the goods, services, okay, which are fluctuating, which are non-fluctuating, etc. Which includes, we can say the fruits, vegetable and the energy goods, okay, so which includes the fruits, vegetables, okay, or we can say the food, we can take food or energy. Headline inflation is the inflation which will talk about everything about the goods and services, inflation component, plus the food and energy. There is something called as core inflation. Core inflation means excluding food and energy. Headline inflation including food and energy. Core inflation excluding food and energy. Now unemployment rate is, again the government is saying it has been declining as a percentage. You can look at that. Achievements in taxes. Direct tax collection has more than that, it has increased. Number of returns which are filed has also been increased. Faster refunds, the government has made the refunds if they are trying to make some compensation. Average monthly gross GST has been doubled. This is very important point. Increase in tax buoyancy of the state, that means it was earlier 0.72, now it has increased to 1.22. Benefit to consumers, reductions in logistic cost and prices of most goods and services. This, why the government is promising this, because as the infrastructure gets developed, connectivity gets increased. Actually the cost, the logistic cost or the transportation cost for the people will get reduced. Positive sentiments about the GST. 94% leasers view transaction to GST largely positive. 80% of the respondents feel GST has led to supply chain optimization. As per the survey conducted by the leading, this is not actually conducted by the government, but they have taken this as a reference. Decline in import release time since 2013. That means like 47% at inland container depots, 28% air cargo complexes, 27% as seaports. So decline in the imports, decline in the import release time, decline in the import release time. It's not about imports, it is about import release time. Import release time means it is indirectly talking about clearances. Clearances, easy business policies, which is actually making the good not to get delayed, but rather at the faster pace it is clearing, and we can actually, the demand may not grow further, creating inflation. What happens if the good is delayed there? This demand slowly generates and it can actually lead to inflation. So earlier we used to have lot of departments involved for the clearances, but now PM Gati Shakti Yojana, etc., which is actually making the clearances faster. Now tax proposal, like continuity in the taxation, certain tax benefits we already discussed just now. Withdrawal of outstanding direct tax demand up to 25,000 pertaining to this, and now it has been 10,000. So government actually gives some sort of benefits on this tax, etc. Taxpayers, on-time payers, GST payers, that is actually the rewards. Retention of the same tax rates for direct and indirect taxes, including import duties. And for corporate taxes for existing domestic companies, 15% for certain new manufacturing companies. No tax liability for taxpayer with income up to 7 lakhs under the new tax regime. Now, read this. This is, most of the times we can expect a question like making comparison of the ministries. How much ministry has been allocated, arrange them as per the order in terms of the allocations. So Ministry of Defense, you see, It is basically the highest, which says in lakh crore, if you say it is 6.2. Ministry of Roads and Transportation, it is 2.7. And if you come in order, this is the most important ministry because it talks about the PDS, food distributions, etc. Next, it is 2.13 lakh crores. And finally, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, it is 1.27 lakh crores. Now, allocation for the major schemes. Now read how much it is being allocated for the Manrega. Manrega is a central sponsor scheme. So state and central will come forward and they will sponsor. So 2023-24 it is 60,000 crores. So now it has become to 80,000 crores, 86 in fact. Production linked incentive. I have discussed many of the times in the class. Production linked incentive scheme means incentives are being given to the manufacturer if he's reaching my targets. Beyond the targets, if he's trying to produce the goods, then incentives will be linked to those goods which are beyond the targets. Those employment beyond the targets. This is called as PLI. Next, solar power grid, you knew it. Modified program for the development of semiconductors and display manufacturing ecosystem. This is actually we are trying to promote digital concepts in the country. National Green Hydrogen Mission. This has always been in news. Okay, this will be part of your SNT. Try to promote, read this about this mission, how the government is trying to make use of this mission to promote the vehicles or to promote the people who want to go for under this missions, environmental free, green energies, green missions, clean missions, etc. Ayushman Bharat PMJAY, which is actually trying to promote the health sector, health parameters, etc. Okay, so this is the theme of the budget, etc. I wanted to make you have some discussion with respect to this budget. Okay, anything is we have missed? No. So in case if you have, I'll share the PPT. In case if you have any doubt, you can happily ask me.